Mr. Prime Minister.
Yeah, how are you doing? Nice to see you.
I'm doing.
Yeah, very, very good to see you.
Thank
again.
you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. It's
Not
great
at
to
all.
see you in Kyiv, and welcome to Independence Avenue Media.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Let's start from some of the points that you made earlier at the presentation here today. Coalition of the willing. You famously call it the coalition of the waiting.
Yeah.
Why do you do that?
Well, because at the moment there's the whole operation rests on the consent of Vladimir Putin. You know, nothing can happen until Putin agrees, and the whole point is that Ukraine's a free country, right? That's the whole premise on which this war is being fought by the Ukrainians, to have their own freedom. It should not be a matter for Vladimir Putin to decide which troops, other than his own, are allowed to come onto Ukrainian soil. It's for the Ukrainians to decide.
And you're proposing something that's unthinkable at this point,
well, why?
which is opening the airport in Lviv, for example.
Why is that so difficult? I don't believe that'd be difficult. I think you could put enough protection around it. I think it would be a major symbol of the economy getting back to a peacetime footing. Why not do something? You know, we can't keep just going on with this war as it is. This is now the fourth anniversary. It is appalling. We're entering the fifth year of this conflict. It's horrendous, and you can see it when you listen to the generals, like we had this morning in the conference. And you know, you had that guy from that brave soldier, distinguished man from the front line, saying the reality. You know, that Russia is losing a lot of people, but it's not losing people fast enough. Yeah. They still are in the overwhelming majority. You know, they have a ratio that favors Russia. It's very hard for Ukraine. I think there's just a terrible complacency in Europe about this thing, and people don't understand how urgent it is to get this war over. They think, oh, the Ukrainians are heroes. It'll grind on. You know, we'll buy lots of gas from America, but it's terrible. Yeah. It's absolutely terrible.
So you don't think,
get it over.
You don't think the Europeans are taking this, or understanding on the one hand, and taking it as an urgent matter?
I don't think that there's anything like the urgency that we need. And I think that Europeans won't really take it seriously until they realize that, you know, Putin really is going to be aggressive towards one of their own countries. And that's a tragedy, because I think that if he wins in Ukraine, or if he, you know, he keeps going, he is a threat to the Baltics. He's a threat all over the place. And, but it's, you know, it's about Ukraine. Yeah. It's not fair that Ukraine should be. We've told the Ukrainians, you know, your heroes, fight on, we're with you. But we give enough to help them survive. We don't give enough to help them win.
Yeah. There was a policy not to mention the word win by the West for a long time. Remember that?
Well, not under me, it wasn't.
Yeah.
No, my policy was that Putin must fail.
No.
And Ukraine must be free. And we need to get back to that.
Yes.
What's embarrassing about Ukraine winning? Why is that unthinkable? It's ridiculous.
It takes more effort.
It's ridiculous. But we're not going to get Putin to compromise unless he thinks that we're willing to do far more.
Yeah. Let's talk about Putin and the peace talks. The U.S. president.
Peace talks? It's just ridiculous.
Well, peace talks are going on. Ukrainians are a part of it. They are happy to participate.
But it's all. But the Ukraine's talking to America. America's talking to Europe. Europe's talking to Ukraine. It's just rubbish. Everybody can see a kind of deal that they might be able to do, but where's Russia? Yeah. Where's the evidence that Russia wants to agree anything? Even if Ukraine gets out of Donbass, the whole thing, is Russia really going to agree to what? Russia wants Ukraine to be a vassal state. That's what this is. So there's never going to be an agreement worthwhile unless we put more pressure on Putin.
Yeah. Do you think the U.S. is willing to put that pressure on Putin?
I think the U.S. has shown it's willing to do things that Europeans aren't willing to do, actually. Impound Russian flag vessels that were breaking the ban on shipments of oil. put pressure on India to stop using Russian hydrocarbons. America was the first to give lethal weaponry to Ukraine. I mean, never forget that. That was Trump, right? In the first Trump administration. So America's capable of doing some pretty decisive things. But right now, there's no leadership from Europe. There's no, what is the European, we've had the Davos and Munich and all these European leaders saying this is the hour of Europe. Well, to do what?
Yeah. So it's a long road between how you're describing the Europeans and your proposal to send some European troops to Ukraine.
It is.
How do you think that's possible? Do you think it's possible?
Well, because the job of people like, when I was leading the UK, it was a different matter. We could lead and we could do things that other Europeans eventually followed. So we were the first to give lethal weaponry or serious lethal weaponry in Europe. I think we were the first to give the tanks and so on. And the UK could be doing that again. On the money, we've got $15 billion worth of Russian money frozen in London. Well, if the EU won't unfreeze the money in Brussels, we could lead.
Well, that's taken 4 years and still counting, right?
It's appalling.
Yeah.
And we wring our hands about the suffering of Ukrainians, but why aren't we doing more?
Do you think there is a level or there is a point where Ukrainians could get frustrated, and maybe they are already frustrated? And what can happen after that? How do you see that?
I think that the Ukrainians I think very often they think that they have no choice but to fight on alone, and that they can't rely on anybody. And they're becoming more and more self-reliant. They're incredible. But I think, we could help them massively.
One more question about Putin. Do you think he's actually willing to stop this war?
Not under current circumstances. Not. But he might be if we do the things I've described. Mm-hmm. And that's why we've got to do this year. It's got to be, you can't fix this war by endlessly putting pressure on Ukraine. That's the wrong way around. The Ukrainians have done what they can. There's no more they can give. The only way to get a deal now is radically to increase the pressure on Putin.
Including from the Europeans.
Including from the Europeans.